All right, you guys, here is class 2, our field of daisies, and we've already got all the flowers and the little swirly lines masked off, and we'll give our focal point that nice wash of gold and then come around it with soft greens and purples mixed with the turquoise and adding in bits of rose or alizarin for the purples. So everything's nice and juicy, and you go all the way around, and then while it is still wet, I'm going to start dropping in some little darks, create a sense of background and depth. So I let that first layer dry, and then I'll start a second wash over that, adding in some purples and dark greens, creating kind of a U shape around my focal point. Under that center flower, which is my main focal flower, I'm going to add some extra blue, because the blue French ultramarine will contrast nicely with the bright orangey red that we're going to be putting in. So I pull that wash all the way to the top, get rid of any puddles. Now I'll start dashing in that bright warm cadmium or scarlet red. And if you put it under the petals, it gives the look of another flower flaring out. So I let that part dry, and then I start dripping in the stems for the flowers, and I put a dark drip under each flower head. I try to tilt the paper in different ways so that my stems have different directions and some variation. So I just put a blob of dark paint and then keep adding water to it until it falls down the page. So I go ahead and dry it after I get all my stems. And then I come in with the gold again and shift that cool side of the painting back to warm, give the painting an overall sense of warmth. I'm also painting in between the drips so that those will pop out a bit more and give them more emphasis too. And here I pumped up that French ultramarine a little bit more. Now I'm going to drop in some even darker purples just to build my contrast and give myself some more depth. Then I dry it and I wipe off masking fluid to make sure there's no wet paint on there before I start taking the masking fluid off. So now all that's off, we can start shading in the flowers. And I go back and forth with the French ultramarine, and I think I was using cadmium red on this one for my warm red. So start with some cool side petals, and then add some warmer ones with the red. And not painting over every single petal, and letting some dry brush work make some textures on the petals. And then I'll come back for the centers later. And these leaves I made kind of a purpley brown mix by making purple and then adding some of the gold into it. And I'm putting some of that brown also on these side petals over here, just to kind of push them back a little bit. But everything here is going back and forth, warm, cool, warm, cool. Now I can put in my centers. And some of the flowers are backwards and some of them are facing forward, so. Giving some outlining, but not going around the entire petal of each petal, just adding little bits of darks here and there to give them some definition and pick up the contrast. Also darkening some of my stems a little bit too. And then I put another little drop shadow under the leaves a bit. Makes them a little more 3D. Now I'll come in with a detailed brush and polish up those little white swirly lines and also give them a little bit of a drop shadow while I'm at it. So you can smooth out your masking fluid and thin it down a little bit more. And finally, I'm just going to add in some more fun little stem shapes using a dagger brush. Get some nice wiggly marks. And there you have it.